E3 is going to be back in 2023 with a brand new format, Star Wars games every 6 months, plus more stuff. So let's talk about it. All right, guys, before we get into this, I see many of you are new here. If you are new to the channel, you enjoy what you see throughout this video, please consider hitting that subscribe button, trying to hit 10K subscribers by the end of the year. So if you like what you see, join the community, let's talk games. So when it comes to E3, the pandemic really put a stop to the convention where we haven't had a real E3 in a very long time, couple of years now. Now there has been substitutions like Summer Games Fest, which I think has done a great job to make up for that week in June where everybody gets together, celebrates, and talks about video games. But I always felt that with E3 not being here, it was missing. It's something that I would love to see come back, and they officially announced it is coming back, and it is going to be back in 2023 with that physical event. And now we kind of know the breakdown as to what they are going for with the event. So first of all, E3 is going to be taking place from Tuesday, July 13th through Friday, June 16th. Again, at the Los Angeles Convention Center, and they're going to be breaking the show up between a business section and a consumer section. So the first 2 days are for businesses only, the third day is for business and consumer, and the fourth day is purely for consumers. And they kind of have a breakdown of what their goals are. Firstly, they want to make a better business event where it's easier to connect and meet and conduct interviews. They want to make a better consumer experience where there are things to do for fans, and they want to partner and support and be friends with everyone announcing games in and around E3, irrespective of whether they're actually in the convention center, which I think is a good thing, because obviously if you're a smaller developer, you're an indie developer, it's hard to get in there. There's probably limited space and you kind of have to be known to get actually within the convention center. But there's always stuff going on around E3 where games are still being celebrated and shown off at other places in other ways, and they're going to try to kind of support that. And one of the ways they're going to be supporting that is through an app where you can go and connect with all of the people either in the convention center or outside of the convention center, but you'll know where to find these booths and these developers depending on where they're located. They're also going to be splitting up the convention center completely. So there's going to be a section located that's going to be dedicated for business, quieter, more comfortable. You connect, network, all that type of stuff. And then there's going to be the other half where if you've seen pictures, you've seen videos, or if you've actually been to E3, just how spectacular it is with the lights and showing off all of the games that are going to be upcoming that are being shown off at the event. What I find interesting here is that if you are on the business side of things for E3, you're going to receive data, insight, interviews, and analysis direct to your inbox, and you can either print it before or after or whatever. And you're going to have that information coming directly to you so you can reference it when you're going around, you're networking and talking to people. And indie publishers can now showcase their titles in the concourse hall, which will also be open to gamers. So that's great, getting more accessibility to indie games, something that I think Xbox does very well with ID at Xbox, highlighting a bunch of indie games. And there are tons of great indie games in Xbox Game Pass and just in general out there that people don't think about all the time. People don't think about indie games, especially when it comes to these big events, but they make some, in my opinion, some of the most creative games that we have today. It's going to be a little bit different this year. It seems like it's going to be more kind of tamed, where I believe previously it was just everybody was in the convention center. It was just a huge show at all the time. But now they're breaking it up between the business and the consumer side of things. And you're going to have the ability probably to make better connections, network better, which I think is a cool thing, especially if you are on the business side. I wonder what that means when they say the business side of things. Can smaller YouTubers get in there, or is it only for the big companies? But at the end of the day, either way, you're going to have the ability as a way to get in on the consumer side if you don't qualify for the business side of things. And as you know, 2023 is going to be a massive year in games. By the time the convention rolls around, a lot of the big games are going to be close to coming out or have already been released. But the holiday season for 2023, you're probably going to be able to play some of these games there for some of the massive releases that are going to be coming out. And it's going to be such a great year of gaming. All the delays from 2022, a lot of them seem to be coming out in 2023. I think it's going to be one of the biggest years ever that we're going to be able to remember in the video game market. All right, jumping over here to Silent Hill. Silent Hill is back in the rumor. So it's been a very odd thing with Silent Hill and everything that's been going on surrounding the rumors and if Konami is making another game. So we know initially there were these rumors that multiple Silent Hill games were being created. And one of the big reasons people were talking about remakes of Silent Hill and Metal Gear or new Silent Hill projects as well was because there was an account on Twitter called The Real Insider who said that these games were in the works. And as we know, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, The Real Insider accidentally exposed themselves as Dan Ellen Gaming, and then he came out and made a video apologizing and admitting that everything he was saying about Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hill was an absolute lie, which makes you think that everything we've been hearing about Silent Hill particularly wasn't actually going to be coming true. But now we have some more information here that makes it look like they are actually making a brand new Silent Hill game, as it has now been rated in South Korea. And this is called Silent Hill: The Short Message. It was rated by a committee on Monday with platform specified, meaning that it's specifically going to be a console release. This isn't going to be a mobile game or anything like that, or it's going to be a game that is a bigger style of Silent Hill. And it's been a long running rumor for many different reasons. There's been leaked images that came out. There was also people saying that Bloober was actually the team working on Silent Hill. They made the Medium, which I thought was a pretty good game that came out on Xbox Series X and S exclusively at first, and then it came out on other platforms. So it would be pretty cool if Bloober did make it. I think that they could do a great job with it, but we'll wait and see. I mean, this is all just speculation, but if they are rating this game in South Korea, there probably is a higher probability that a new Silent Hill game is going to be announced, and probably going to be announced relatively soon. Jumping over here to Netflix games, we know Netflix is trying harder to get into the games market, focusing mainly on mobile games, but they were a big part of the recent Ubisoft Forward, where they were announcing that some exclusive games are coming over to Netflix. If you signed up to your Netflix subscription, you're going to get access to Netflix games. If there's going to be like an Assassin's Creed mobile game coming, that you're going to need Netflix games in order to access it. Well, it looks like they're continuing to expand, continuing to take games seriously, even if it is just mobile games, as they are opening up a brand new studio. Saying here, today I'm excited to announce that we are establishing an internal game studio in Helsinki, Finland, with Marco Lastica as the studio director. This is another step in our vision to build a world-class game studio that will bring a variety of delightful and deeply engaging original games with no ads and no in-app purchases to our hundreds of millions of members around the world. So this battle of ecosystems, this battle of subscriptions is continuing to expand across all of these different companies. Yes, again, Netflix is only mobile. So when you're looking at this, it's not going to have the same appeal for somebody who plays bigger games, who plays AAA games, who plays console games and PC games when you're comparing it to Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus. But at the same time, it's still going to be looking to expand out and take some of that market away from one of the big markets that Xbox is trying to get into, which is mobile, through their cloud gaming, through the acquisition of King with games like Candy Crush. So it's going to be very interesting as we move forward through these years, as more companies like Netflix get into gaming, companies like Amazon, companies like Google, companies like Tencent, which are been in gaming for a while, but they're continuing to grow and continuing to expand. So lots of competition right now happening. Lots of big companies getting more into the gaming industry. And we'll see how Xbox Game Pass and Xbox, how they kind of respond to stuff like this. Are they going to be making now more mobile games to compete with Netflix games? Are they going to be really utilizing a company or developer like King to continue to make more mobile games, and then as well as mobile games like Call of Duty Mobile and Warzone Mobile, all that type of stuff? How are they going to utilize those IPs and those games in order to compete against companies like Netflix from what they're doing and continuing to expand? And finally here, let's talk about Disney and Star Wars. Now, we know Star Wars games, they were under EA for 10 years, which was a time period where I thought that EA didn't do too much with the IP, or didn't do enough with the IP. I think that they dropped the ball in a lot of ways with having Star Wars. One of my favorite games that they did make was from one of the best developers out there, Respawn, with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. And now that the IP and the exclusivity with EA is gone, people from all different studios can make Star Wars games, and it looks like Disney is really trying to cash in on that. As they say here, they're trying to release a game every 6 months. Now, this is from InsiderGaming.com. And they say that sources are suggesting this, that they want to release a game every 6 months, one major AAA title, and then one smaller game per fiscal year. And as we know, there are a ton of Star Wars games already in development. Here's a list of them. You have Amy Hennig's game from Skydance Media. We don't really know anything about that. I think some of the rumors right now is that it's a third-person action game. An untitled FPS from Respawn Entertainment. And anytime Respawn works on a game, I'm excited. I think that they do incredible work. I don't think they've really ever missed with a game that I can remember in recent memory. There's an open world game coming from Ubisoft Massive, Star Wars Eclipse coming from Quantic Dream, Knights of the Old Republic remake from Saber Interactive. That one, who knows when that's coming out? We know the whole story about that, the debacle of it getting moved from Aspyr to Saber Interactive because the game just wasn't going in the right direction, wasn't where it needed to be. So they've given it to a new studio to try to complete it. And we know this is going to be a console exclusive to PlayStation for I think at least a year. So who knows when that's going to be coming out, but that's one. I don't know, as long as this game, they make it in a way that really pays homage to the original Knights of the Old Republic, and it isn't something that takes away from interest, going all these different crazy directions for, I guess, the current day of things, I will be interested in it, but I will be more interested when it is released on all platforms. You have Jedi Survivor, the Fallen Order sequel from Respawn, probably the one there right now that I'm most excited for because I loved the first one. Star Wars Hunters by Zynga, and then there's an untitled strategy game again from Respawn. So there's 3 games in development from Respawn in terms of Star Wars, which, I mean, I'm not mad about that or sad about that. I'm actually kind of happy to see what they're going to be able to do with all of these different styles of games. But that's a lot of games. This is a lot of Star Wars games that we are going to be getting if this is all coming to be true in every 6 months. Small ones, big ones. You're probably going to have ones that you're way more interested than others, but this is kind of reminding me, you're kind of looking like what I guess Marvel sort of does with the cinematic universe, where they're just releasing content all the time. They see that this is an IP that probably makes them a ton of money and that they can really cash in on and continuously put out games that will sell well all the time. Kind of like, I guess, we compare it to PlayStation's Virtuous Cycle, where they have an IP, they have a set style of game that they know is going to make them a ton of money, and they're just going to keep iterating on that until, I guess, it starts to fall off. And when it comes to the game from Quantic Dream, this is one that people have been talking about for a while, Star Wars Eclipse, which is supposed to be a massive style of game. Sources are saying that the game will be in development nightmare from that studio, and the game probably won't release until 2026. But the thing is, we don't know anything about this stuff. There was even a Mandalorian game, which Special Nick had tweeted out, talked about, then removed that tweet. And I thought making a Mandalorian game would be a great idea, especially with how popular the TV show was. And I hope we do get a Mandalorian game, third-person action game. There's so much that could be done with that. But all of this, again, up for speculation. But every 6 months, Disney wants to release a brand new Star Wars game. That's it for me, guys. Let me know your thoughts on all of this stuff. We went over a bunch of different things there, but particularly, are you excited for E3 coming back? Where do you want to go to the event? Are you happy with how they're kind of breaking it up between business and consumer, giving people, I guess, more space to see everything? Do you want to see Star Wars games every 6 months? And do you think Netflix is going to be a threat in the gaming industry, even if they just really focus on mobile? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here and you liked what you saw, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.
We'll be right back.